I'm facing 51 days in jail right now, but that's okay. Because we all know what we need to do. We need to save Mother Earth. There's no price too high to do what we need to do. Gela Kesla, Nugua Am Rainbow Eyes. I'm a member of the Danakdao Awitlala First Nation, and our traditional territory is Night Inlet. I think for me, the call of the forest is finding out who our ancestors are and how we can connect to them. Really, going in and listening to our intuition and following it and trusting ourselves and being easy on ourselves when we mess up, because we're going to. When people come together in the forest for the same cause, it's magic. People become family. And it was incredible how that happened, because we were all there for the forest. We were all there to protect the forest, and we were all there to learn together. When I lived in Calgary, I worked for an oil and gas company, but it didn't take me long to figure out that that's not what I wanted to do. Right when I got a job in the oil and gas, I was diagnosed with cancer. And that really, I was 21, and that really changed the way I viewed life. And it was after my treatment, I went back to work in an office, and it wasn't fulfilling anymore. I started volunteering with the Canadian Cancer Society and Wellspring Calgary. And it was when I was working with people who I had shared experiences with that I really found passion. And I think that's what we had at Fairy Creek. I went by myself. I didn't go with anybody. And I went, packed up my car. I was gonna go for 3 days, and I ended up moving in with everybody else. It became my home within a week.
First Nations traditional territory includes Fairy Creek, where anti-old growth logging protesters are maintaining blockades in defiance of a court injunction.
Protesters are alleging police brutality and excessive use of force.
Blockades have been set up as activists wait for police to enforce a court order.
A BC Supreme Court judge admonished some of the RCMP tactics at the site, including the way pepper spray has been used and officers covering badge numbers.
For decades, the industry has argued trees like this are incredibly valuable, but as lumber.
We know that this has got real consequences, and so it's really, I think, timely that we're talking a bit about Fairy Creek at a time when we still have the chance to, protect that area. Hi, I'm Peter Wood. I'm a lecturer and coordinator of the Masters of International Forestry program here at the UBC Faculty of Forestry. I think the important thing to consider is the sum total of the impacts of any one cut block. So in the context of Fairy Creek, yes, that's the one watershed we're looking at. But if you want to think about the sustainability of those forest management operations as a whole, you really have to look at the broader landscape. At the landscape level, we get a sense that the older logging patterns have put us in a situation where we have very, very little left of old growth in that landscape. So it could be that that area is acting like a bit of a Noah's Ark for biodiversity, right? The surrounding area is gone. If you go on Google satellite view, it pops out, Fairy Creek pops out as this very last uncut watershed that really is the last of that area.
Hello, yes, my name is William Jones of the Pacheedaht First Nation in Port Renfrew, just up here. As I was up there over 2 years doing the blockading, I started realizing and remembering Grandpa told us to not go up to the forest to cut it down, to go up to the forest to pray and meditate. We were a disorganized hodgepodge of unrelated people who went up there, and we basically managed how to look after ourselves down up there, and we wound up recruiting people, and along come Angela, who was a experienced young eco-defender that cared about our great mother. I says, can you come and help me protect my land? And she said, sure.
Elder Bill from the Pachidat First Nation, I like to call him our Yoda. He's our wise elder. He always says we all have an Indigenous heart, and that's what we're following, and that's what we're remembering. I was so determined, and I had so much knowledge of what was going on and how wrong the logging was, that I was like, okay, my parents don't know this is gonna happen. I'm close to my mom and dad, but I'm ready to get arrested. They had a bike lock. It was last minute. They were able to figure that out, and one of them said, okay, I think I know where we can put you. Yeah, that was a really good picture of me changed to the Teal Jones gate for my first arrest. I was never scared because of the community at Fairy Creek and the time that I had leading up to it.
I feel that Angela is bringing love to the world, and the world wants to crush her via using the legal system.
Everybody that gets arrested has to sign a sheet. And the officer made it sound like I was almost ready to go. She's like, okay, one more thing. You just have to sign here saying that you won't go back into TFL 46. And that was the last thing. And I was like, well, I can't sign it. I cried again because the realization that they could do that to us, that for doing what we knew was so right. So I didn't sign, so they were able to put me in jail. I was arrested 5 times and spent 5 nights in jail. And each time we got more comfortable or confident in what we were doing. I think it was my 3rd arrest that I sang the Woman's Warrior song, and I laid on the floor and I sang out the crack of the door. And I sang until I lost my voice. Hey, 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 ya, hee, oh, ya, hee, oh, hey, hey, ya, hee, oh, ya, hee, oh, hey, hey, ya, hee, oh, hey, hey, hey. I've had a 25-day hearing in total over 2 years. And during my trial, I've had 4 Crown prosecutors going against my 1 lawyer. I know I have a losing case. I knew it from the beginning. The colonial court system does not have any sympathy for any Indigenous land defender who breaks a law.
White man does not understand, particularly in his legal system, that he says, oh, Angela's from there. And therefore she's not defending her own land, she's up meddling in other people's land. That is not true. I invited Angela there.
This is the Rainforest Flying Squad. My dad made this. It was a Christmas gift, so he made it on a CMT machine. So, seeing how it's taken my parents to process what's going on, I understand why it takes people a long time to understand, because it took my parents a long time to understand. But now my parents are full supporters. They're gonna be at my court date on the 4th. They're gonna be there to support. When I felt the call to go to Fairy Creek, it really was slow. I was working here in Campbell River. I had a contract job, and I actually saw it first on my Instagram feed, just like differently. But for myself, I found it really hard to really look into and acknowledge the fact that there was old growth logging happening so close to home. So I think I understand why it takes people a little while to acknowledge the fact that we are in a climate crisis and we're almost at an end point where we won't be able to turn around, because it's really, really hard to acknowledge that.
It really could be the last area, or one of the last areas in that TFL where some of these old growth dependent species are finding a place to make their home. So it really is something that is alarming when you're going after the last of the last. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to reading documents on this, and I've read a lot of the original commissions of inquiry that go back to like 1910, 1911. We've had, I think, 5 different commissions that have warned about the problems that we will face if we log too fast. I think there's 2 Sloan commissions after World War II, and then the Peter Pierce Commission was in the 1970s, another old growth commission in the 80s, the Clayoquot Sound Scientific Panel, 1993 through 5, I think, and then now the Gary Merkel Old Growth Strategic Review.
This is my button blanket. My mom made it. I wear it into the courthouse every time I go into the courthouse. So I always feel really a lot more comfortable as well, because I know I'm not going into the courthouse by myself. I'm going with this. The only expectation I have of April 4th is that it's going to be a huge, beautiful gathering. You know, it's for the forest. And it's interesting that the one place we get together again is at the courthouse in Nanaimo.
Together for the revolution that we found in the forest, to continue it.